Hello, welcome again to Charles Kelly Money Tips. This is Charles bringing you money tips to help you save, earn, invest, accumulate and enjoy more money. Thanks for everyone who's tuning in on Facebook Live and also on my podcast, which is on iTunes and Stitcher, and of course on my website moneytipsdaily.com. I hope that you're all having a good day here. It's pouring down with rain in London, and it's just been bucketing down all day, but I'm not deterred. I'm going to carry on anyway. Now, in the last few years, people in the UK and in other countries as well may be aware that the mortgage market has been tightened up by, mainly from the central banks like the Bank of England, the government, tightening up the mortgage market to stop another sort of bubble coming along. And what this has meant is that it's just become more difficult now to get mortgages. Now, when I started on buy-to-lets many years ago, you could get an 85% buy-to-let mortgage. With minimal requirements. I don't think you needed to show income or bank statements. You didn't have to show previous lender bank statements. They would just do a credit search, do a quick survey on the property, and within sometimes days you would get a mortgage offer. If you needed a further advance or some extra money, you could call them up and say, "Hi, I need another 30,000." And you could use that for a deposit for another place, for instance. And they would say, "Okay, we'll do a desktop valuation." So they look at the property and see if it's gone up in value according to some formula, maybe Rightmove or something. And from that, they would then approve a further advance. So you could buy a property up to 85% 1 year, and a couple of years later you could say, "Well, I want another 20 or 30,000," and they would just give it on the phone, and then they would send you out an offer. So it was very, very easy. And also, if you needed a mortgage for yourself to live in and you were self-employed, you didn't have many accounts, you could go for what's called a self-certification mortgage, more like a non-status mortgage, where you would not need to prove any income. And obviously some of the banks got into trouble with this, so it was a little bit tricky for some of the banks. So the government then stopped that, and now they've made it quite difficult to get mortgages. Even for buy-to-lets now, you need to show a lot more paperwork. They're also taking into account your income. They do what's called a stress test to see would you be able to afford it if the rent wasn't coming in. And that's got a lot tougher now, this stress testing. If you own more than 5 properties, you're considered to be a portfolio landlord. Then it becomes difficult on that front as well. And also just refinancing and that sort of thing, it's become difficult, more expensive. So, what do you do? How do you get around this? Now, most people think that getting a mortgage and going down the bank and saving a deposit and getting a mortgage to buy a property is the only way you can get into a property, but that's not true. There are many creative strategies, creative finance strategies you can use for raising finance to buy and or control property, which can literally liberate you from the monopoly of the banks, because the banks have had it their own way for too long. They've had the monopoly on the market. They can turn the tap on and off when they like. They can make you beg for money. Hopefully that's no longer the case, because I want to show you some ways where you can do different ways of buying properties without going to the bank cap in hand and seeing whether they want to lend this month or not. In any case, using this standard method obviously has its limitations. I mean, applying for a mortgage and saving up, now the deposit is now 25% anyway. It's not, 15%. You need 20, 25, sometimes 30%. Sometimes it's said, well, because of this or that, we're not going to give you 25%. We're not going to give you 75%. We're going to give you 70% or 68%. It's just ridiculous now. I won't even bore you with all the hoops I've had to jump through in the last few years just to get a mortgage or refinance a property. Now they're looking more at age and all sorts of stuff. So it is more difficult. And obviously saving for a deposit and then getting a mortgage has its limitations, because, clearly if you're buying a property, say for even a £200,000 property, right? And, you need, every time you need 30% deposits and also with the higher stamp duty as well. So let's say you need £50,000-60,000 deposit, 25 to 30%. That's quite a lot of money to get together. Then you've got stamp duty on top, and all your legal fees as well. So how many of those can you do in the next 5 years? How many deposits can you raise? And if the properties are not going up as fast, then you're not going to be able to necessarily refinance much out of that in a couple of years as you used to be able to. So what do you do? Most people find that they just eventually run out of deposits, and they kind of hit a brick wall. Maybe 2-3 properties down the line, they just hit a brick wall. They've run out of money. They can't get any more deposits, and they haven't got enough income from the existing properties because they've borrowed quite highly anyway. They haven't got enough income to be able to say, I am financially free, I can quit my job. Do you see what I mean here? Because you can't just expect that buying one property with a mortgage will give you enough net residual income to be able to say to your boss, bye-bye, I'm going, I'm quitting my job, I'm financially free now. You might need 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 properties before you could do that. So how are you going to do that if you run out of deposits 2 or 3 properties into your venture? And this has been the dilemma for many buy-to-let investors who are now kind of stuck with maybe 2, 3 properties. They perhaps lost interest in it maybe. They found that this method of being able to be financially free has not quite worked for them because they've run out of money. They've run out of deposits, or it's just become more difficult to get mortgages. In the past, people could get 85% mortgages. Well, you only had to find 15%, obviously. The stamp duty was low. There was even same-day remortgaging to basically pull out your money on the same day. Well, all that stopped. So what do you do now? So, I think what you need to do is look at other strategies. If something is not working, don't keep doing it the same way. Don't keep, as I say, banging your head against a brick wall, because that's not going to do you much good. It's just going to give you a headache. So look at other ways if something's not working. And the old saying is, you don't know what you don't know. Now, if you've been investing for many years and what you're doing is not quite working for you, then maybe you've got to open your mind a bit and look at other ways of raising finance, other ways of buying properties, and that's what I did. That's exactly what I did. So I've been on courses to learn how to do things differently and learn some new strategies. Now, what are these strategies? Well, many investors using this method have obviously run out of cash, so they've had to look at other ways. Now, they've been able to discover other proven ways to secure, control, and buy multiple properties with using none of their own money, because they haven't got any money. They've run out of money. And this will enable you to increase your portfolio exponentially, depending on how hard you want to work, and just get multiple properties without worrying about the banks. Okay. Now, let me explain a bit more. If I can show you how to do this, I can't just tell you here right now how to do this, but I can give you some of the techniques you could learn. There are many techniques. There are crowdfunding, there are raising finance, there's finance for new developments using joint venturing. There are how to find investors to structure deals towards them. There are using money from pension schemes, helping people to liberate money from their pension schemes. There's lease options. There's rent to rent. There's rent to buy. There are many strategies that you can learn to buy properties. These are in the UK, but probably in other countries as well. And how you can literally enable yourself to be able to buy multiple properties and using none of your own money. So you don't have that limitation of, well, I haven't got the deposits to be able to continue building my portfolio. And I do know how that feels, by the way. So if you'd like to learn more about this creative financial strategies, then that can enable you to build build a large portfolio and enable you to be financially free, but without using your own money. There is coming up a one-off opportunity coming up next month in November. Now, there was a 2-day creative finance masterclass, which was put on exclusively for people who'd attended a previous conference or a paid course, and places were filled very quickly. Now, I've been on this course because I went on a previous paid course, and I found it a fabulous 2-day masterclass covering a range of strategies on how to buy properties, how to control properties without using your own money, and many other things as well, apart from that. But basically opening up my mind to a whole world of strategies that other people have been using, and some people have only been in property for maybe 2 or 3 years, and they're racing ahead of me, and I've been doing it for years and years. So I think, what's going on here? Who are these young whippersnappers coming up on my heels? But believe me, these things they're not just pie in the sky things. So if you think, oh, not that thing again, no, open your mind and clear out those negative thoughts and listen to this. Now, on this 2-day creative finance masterclass. As I said, it was put on for people who had previously attended a course. However, the company has now just released a limited number of spare tickets, maybe because people have dropped out, I don't know. But I think 10 or 11 tickets have come up, which are for this special masterclass. And they've said to me, look, if you can put out on your podcast and get a few people in, then we'll give you those tickets. Now, this is not my course. I'm not flogging this course. I'm not going to be the one training. These are trained by professionals who are doing this every day of the week. Now, I've just been updated, and there are actually just 11 spare complimentary tickets. Now, that was this morning. I don't know how many are left now for this Creative Finance Masterclass, and it will be the last one this year. There won't be any more until, I don't know when, but certainly the last one this year. And I want to give my podcast listeners and my people on Facebook Live the first chance to put their hands on these courses. So what you need to do is send me an email, charles@charleskelly.net, or send me a messenger message to say, look, I'm interested in this, but don't do this unless you're really committed to going on the dates which I'll give you. And it's on a first come first served basis, and that will be it. After that, there won't be any more this year. So it's on the 14th and 15th of November. It will be in the UK, so you have to be here. So just drop me a line if you're interested in that. And just a reminder what you can learn about. You can learn about crowdfunding, peer-to-peer lending, raising finance other than just going to get a mortgage, financing new developments with joint venturing, how to find joint venturing partners, how to find investors, how to structure deals towards them, how to package deals. You can make a lot of money packaging, how to do rent to rent. You can make rent to rent is a booming area, and it really helps distressed landlords. So you can learn about that. You can learn the proper way of doing this. Learn about how to calculate risk, due diligence, security and responsibility that comes with investors. Learn about how to liberate money from SAS, self-administered pension schemes that people have, and SIPs, self-invested pension schemes, personal pension schemes. Learn about how you can liberate those pensions to get into property and to buy property. And you can learn much, much more, commercial conversions, all sorts of things. Now, during the 2 days, you'll have tips and tricks to creatively raise property finance, and you'll be able to network with like-minded people and maybe meet possibly your future business partner in property. That's certainly happened on many of these events. And you'll learn from expert property trainers that have used these exact methods to build multi-million pound property portfolios using none or very little of their own money. So make sure you drop me a line now. It's on in November, 14th to 15th of November in the UK. Don't bother registering for it unless you really can go. So if you're listening abroad, I'm sorry, but unless you can get to the UK on those dates, it's not worth really talking about it, because this is not an online some sort of online course. It's very much hands-on. You'll be meeting people there, and then you can ask questions. You can talk to other people in the audience who've done these sort of things as well. So let me know if you're interested in that. And it could be this course could launch you on a future career in property using none of your own money. So I'm certainly going down that route. I've tried these things before. And just to let you know, I've been an investor for many years. I've written a book called How to, Yes, Money Can Buy You Happiness. And I'm writing another book on using other people's money, which will be out in the new year. So, and I spent 25 years in financial services. So I've been around the block a few times, more than you can mention. I've got a lot of mileage on the clock here, but there's always something new you can learn. So never close your mind and say, that's it. You've always got to try and learn new things. So drop me a line if you're interested in that course, charles@charleskelly.net, or send me a messenger message on Messenger, Facebook Messenger, because some of you are listening on Facebook Live. Thanks a lot. So just to recap there, what we're going to show you on this course, not me personally, but what the team will show you, is how to raise finance creatively using none of your own money. That might sound complicated. You might think, oh, that's a bit difficult. Why don't I just go and get a mortgage or just save up for a deposit? But no, keep an open mind here. Even if you're investing in property already, there's a limit to how much of your own money you've got, unless you've just got the Sultan of Brunei backing you or something, like Al Fayed had when he bought Harrods, I think. But if you're a normal person with normal income, you've managed to save a bit of money, rather than just put that into a property and then it's stuck there, it's tied up, look for ways where you can perhaps generate cash flow. Because what you really need to quit your job is cash flow, right? You need cash flow means money coming in every month, every week. Because if you haven't got that, you can't really quit your job and do this full time. And once you can quit your job and be able to become a full-time property investor, that's when things can really take off for you. Excuse me. Because if you're doing it part-time, yes, you can build a business part-time, but it's only when you can really go at it full-time that I think you can really build a portfolio. Now, as I said, some of the methods I've talked about, crowdfunding, peer-to-peer lending, finance raising, are great. And JV partners means joint venture partners. You can find people who have got money to invest, but maybe haven't got time. They are cash rich, but time poor. You might be cash poor, but time rich. You've got the time to maybe go out and source deals. You've got the time to maybe manage properties on behalf of your joint venture partner or your investor. So just don't think of yourself, well, I haven't got anything to offer because I haven't got any money. That's just part of the equation. The money is just part of it. There are lots of people out there with money to invest, and believe me, they've got billions of pounds sitting on bank accounts earning 0.25%, which is falling behind with inflation. They've got money to invest and they're looking for places to invest. They're looking for people they can trust and people they can get along with to be able to help them invest that money. Now, many people go along to these events just to meet people like you, perhaps people who have time on your hands but no money to invest. They're looking for people like you who could perhaps say, well, look, I've got a property, I found this property in the area, it's a good deal, it's below market value, I think we could make improvements to this property, we can add value to it, we can do it up and we can sell it, or we can rent it out at a higher price, but I need X amount of money, I need 50,000, I need 100,000, I need $1 million, why not? These joint ventures are not just about small amounts of money, they can be millions and even billions. But so you can meet these people on these courses, even though you're going to a course where it's using creative finance strategies. You can still meet people who've got a lot of money. I was sitting next to a guy who owned 140 properties on an event. It was a free property event I went to, and I thought everyone was there is starting at the bottom rung of the ladder, but no, it's not true. There were lots of people there who had money to invest. They'd retired, they were semi-retired, they'd sold a business. This guy had 140 properties sitting next to me. And when I looked at him, he was just a very ordinary looking guy, perhaps in his 60s, not even that well dressed. You wouldn't look at him and say he's the guy with the money in the room. But so you just never know. You've really got to keep a very open mind on this. So don't think, well, because you haven't got any money, you can't get into property. There are many ways of getting into property, including rent to rent, for instance. I'll explain a little bit about rent to rent. Rent to rent is a way of basically renting properties from landlords, and then you rent them out at a higher price. So you maybe give the landlord a long-term rental deal, maybe a 3-5 year lease, and the landlord is secure with that. They might be getting a little bit less than they would, but if they went through an agent and the agent is then managing it for them, I say management because they don't really manage it very well, then they're taking their fees off of it, then there's repairs, then there's voids, and so often a landlord will give the property to a rent-to-rent person who will give them a little bit less, but they're happy with that because they know it's secure and they know that's net of everything. And then the person doing the rent-to-rent maybe will do a bit of improvement to the property, maybe they'll split it into rooms, maybe they'll do serviced accommodation to increase the income and the yield. So rent-to-rent is a very good way of getting into property, and there are lots of landlords out there who quite frankly are what's called distressed landlords. They've maybe got 2 or 3 properties, maybe hundreds of miles away from where they live. Maybe they're just fed up with it, just had enough of it. Maybe they tried to sell it and can't sell it. Maybe the market with Brexit and everything's been slow. In some areas it's very slow. So maybe they just haven't been able to sell that property, and they find that somebody comes along and will take it off their hands. Great. but you don't need money to do that. You could do that with very little money. So it's not just about buying a property with a deposit and needing 25% deposit, needing all this money. There are many, many ways of doing this. Now, you might say, well, rent to rent's not for me. I'm already a property owner. But don't close your mind to these things, because you can build a very nice rent to rent business where there's a good margin between what you're paying for the property and what you're renting it out for. And many people without money, I've seen many people who've just arrived in the country as a migrant build up a thriving rent to rent business, without any money. And, from there, they get into then buying properties from the landlords, maybe buying on lease options, maybe buying on a rent to buy. There are lots of strategies you can learn on this course in this way. And rent to rent's nothing new, actually. There's been people who've been leasing properties and renting them out for years and years and years. And some people in a big way, they've got 500, 2,000, 3,000 properties. Some international companies have got thousands of properties on a rent-to-rent basis that they let out as holiday homes. So don't think this is something that only people without money are doing. There are lots of very big businesses doing this. So that's just one of the strategies. I would say definitely, if you can be in the UK on the 14th and 15th of November, definitely drop me a line to register for this course. I've only got a few tickets left. As I said, they were originally meant for people who'd been on previous courses and were given this as a bonus, but they've got 11 spare ones now, maybe because people have dropped out at the last minute, and they're complimentary tickets, so you won't pay for them, and so you can learn the basis of these strategies. Then if you want to go into some of the strategies in more depth, they will offer you a paid course. If you want to go onto that paid course, you can. You don't have to. There's no obligation. But let's say they're covering rent to rent and lease options and this and that. You might find, well, that really interests me, that one. So you might want to go on a further course to learn that and take a deeper dive into that. But you don't have to do that. You can go to this course. There's no obligation on you to buy anything. It is complimentary, but it was really meant for people who've been on previous courses. But these spare tickets have come up. So they're on a first come, first served basis. Only let me know if you can be here in the UK on the 14th and 15th of November. And I'm already getting a few messages now from people who've taken up a couple of them. So thanks very much. That's Lily there. Great. Thanks. We'll send it out to you, Lily. Good. Let me know. As I said, we're going to cover all the creative finance strategies so that you're not tied into this bank and this tight bank lending that has really, to be honest, screwed a lot of people, because they're now stuck with things. They can't get their money out of properties. They have to sell the properties because they can't refinance them, all sorts of things. So you can perhaps liberate these people using these creative finance strategies. So that's all I'll say for now. Thanks for listening. Thanks for everyone who tuned in on my podcast and on Facebook Live. Hi there to Anna, to Junior there, to Redora, to Voltaire. How you doing over there in the Philippines? Great to see you there. And I hope to see you again tomorrow for another edition of Money Tips and Money Tips Daily, which is bringing you money tips to help you save, earn, invest, accumulate and enjoy more money. So get in touch with me, drop me a line, charles@charleskelly.net, if you want to learn how to build a property portfolio using none of your own money. Thanks very much and bye for now. Great to see you all.